Welcome. I'm Travis.
And I'm Tyler, and this is Strategies for Success, a show that explores many topics while aiming to equip listeners with simple and practical lessons you can use in your everyday life.
Now join us on our journey as we reach for the impossible. Hey guys, and welcome to Strategies for Success. I'm Trav.
And I'm Tyler.
Hey, we're kind of coming to the end of the season here, and we're going to take about a 6 to 8 week break as we prepare to start off for next year. This was a kind of a test run for 2025, but also a goal that me and Tyler had set that we wanted to do a podcast. We wanted to do a podcast with meaning that would be helpful to people around the country, both in business and in ministry. And so as we prepare for this upcoming 2026 year, we're excited to do a year-end recap with all of the episodes that we've covered over the last year. Started out strong with a lot of business tips and kind of led off into ministry, but we want to take a few minutes and just talk about some of the highlights. Tyler, tell a little bit about some of your favorite topics that we've covered.
Well, I guess before we get into topics, I would say the big thing would be, as Travis mentioned, this was a huge learning experience for us. I know we'd both wanted to do this for a long time, and finally we just came to the point where we're like, let's do it.
Yeah.
You know, let's do it. Let's give it a shot. We initially ordered about a probably $50 set offline, and
Don't do that, by the way.
we just started playing around with it, and something already broke on it. Like, I think you had to send it back 2 or 3 times because stuff kept breaking. Finally got a set that wasn't broken, and then once we started, it was already messing up. But just playing around with it, we were both like, hey, we're going to enjoy this. We're going to have a lot of fun doing this. So we went ahead and upgraded and got some better equipment, which has helped us a whole lot, made things easier on the editing side of things, and has a lot better quality. But, you know, right there, that was a lesson learned right off the bat. So I know that we've learned a whole lot along the way. Hopefully we've shared some stuff that we've learned with you guys so that you can learn a little something too. We've got to interview a lot of people, hear a lot of good stories from them. And so that's always a fun thing. We got to spend time with family members and talk to my grandpa on here. And Travis and I got to spend a lot of time together preparing for this. So it's been a whole lot of fun. It really has been a lot of fun. We're looking forward to keeping it going, keeping the momentum going, and we'll have a lot of good stuff prepared for next year. But, you know, I think as the podcast went along, we did start more business, more like specific. Like, this lesson is going to be only about this, and it'd be, you know, like 10 minutes exactly, and we'd be like, hey, let's move on. We started maybe loosening up a little bit more, just letting it flow more like a conversation. And I think as we got to doing it more, we got more comfortable, but we started realizing it seems like a lot of our lessons, even though they started in business and stuff, they kept circling back to God, I felt like. And so I feel like that's our whole that's where we're coming from with all this, and that's where the basis for everything. And I think as we got going even further, we realized, hey, that's probably what we want to hit on a little bit more.
My biggest awakening, I think, during this whole deal was me and Tyler had saw this John Maxwell leadership training, and I had heard about John Maxwell. I knew that he was a Christian man, but I didn't know too much about him. And I talked Tyler into doing it with me because I didn't want to do it by myself. And as I started listening to some of his stuff and doing the training and getting your certificate for certified speaker and different things, it was an awesome experience. But the thing that I learned is so many times as we were starting this podcast is, oh, let's talk about business and then let's talk about ministry. But I learned when we went to that, you know what, here's a man who was a minister who started being very successful in business leadership courses. But you know what? He never failed, even in business leadership, to tell them about what made him successful. And he said his main model for leadership, that was Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of it is you can't really compartmentalize it. If you're a Christian person, that obviously is your whole basis of how you behave and act and think. And so you can't really just turn that on and off. You shouldn't.
That is our strategy for success for me and Tyler.
Yeah,
is
exactly.
Following the Bible.
You got to build your house on a solid foundation.
So as we come to the end of the season, we kind of want to do a year-end wrap-up, and we've mentioned things that we've covered on the podcast over this last year, but we want to talk about kind of where we started and where we're at. So, you know, in ministry-wise and in business, we've had a pretty good year. Started with 20 churches, and we are now approaching 93, working on number 93. And it was a struggle, as I
That's
shared,
that's just in Oklahoma.
just in Oklahoma. That's
Yeah.
right. And Tyler had encouraged me to tell my story this last week. And if you were wondering where we were for the last couple weeks, hopefully we'll be able to share this story with you. But we got to experience some pain of being hacked and some of our pages being taken over. But we're going to share that with you when we know that we're in the clear, and good to say that. But long story short, being obedient and finally stepping out of the way. And I didn't know what that was going to look like. And I was very nervous and a little bit hesitant because it always is scary with the unknown. But I had personal relationships. I was friends with these men, friends with these boys, and I'd watched them grow up. And I thought, man, what is going to happen? And as I got out of the way, Tyler, who had been working with me for about a year or two, stepped up, and the guys underneath him and the young men that were underneath him, they stepped up into leadership positions. And I wanted Tyler to take some time here today as we come to a wrap up. As our whole year, you guys are following along with our business success and ministry. And I wanted Tyler to tell his story.
Yeah, we try to make this apparent, I guess, but feel like we're just a couple average guys. We're nothing really special here.
Yeah.
So I guess hearing where we came from a little bit, sometimes I have to remind myself or have other people remind me. Sometimes I just see things and I think, wow, that was like, I have a picture pop up or something, and I'm like, oh, I remember that. That was a year ago or a couple years ago. And then it gets me thinking about how much stuff has changed and how far that we've come on a lot of stuff. But I would say, as far as me helping with the boys ministry, kind of goes back, 2 or 3 years or so. And Travis has done this for a long time, but I had a lot of cousins, and my little brother was involved with the ministry, going to the classes and stuff. But Travis kept telling me, hey, you should come help. I think you'll like this. Oh, you should come help. I think you'll like this. And I was pretty reluctant. I really didn't have a good answer as to why I shouldn't. So eventually I gave in, and he said, you should just come up and hang out one night and just kind of observe everything and see if it's something that you're interested in helping with. And I did. And I immediately saw how impactful it was on these boys' lives to see how to be a Christian man, to learn a lot of useful skills, but most importantly, to learn about God and to have fun while you're doing it. And so there's a lot of camaraderie built between the boys by doing it, and using the processes that we use, a lot of hands-on experience. So it's just a really cool way of teaching boys about Jesus and teaching them valuable skills that they can use later in life. Because there's a lot of times that they just don't get a lot of attention, it seems like. And so just being there to talk to them, building a relationship with them, and showing that to be there, that you're a good Christian mentor and example, and just showing them that somebody cares about them can go a long ways. And so going back to, I eventually stepped into helping. And so I was helping for a while, got to observe how things were ran for a long time, eventually branched off a little bit and helped one of my cousins teach the younger boys class. So that we had a couple different classes. What Travis was doing, Travis was teaching the older class, and I was helping teach the younger one. And so as this was all going along, I talked to Travis all the time, and I could just kind of see some of this coming as he was able to travel around a little bit more. I felt like that's what he was called to do, him sharing with me that he felt like that's what he's called to do, and felt like the next step was, as he said, hey, I think I need to travel a little bit and help set up other churches and stuff. I think I was nervous. I was scared about doing it, but I felt like I need to pray about it. And a lot of this stuff, as I've found, if you're willing, that God will lead you along the way and help you. And so everything's a work in progress, and you got to learn all along the way. But, I feel like I've came a long ways. But going back to, as I reflect on it, I think had I not been involved for a couple of years now, I probably definitely would not have done it, because it's not going to be like, hey, I have no idea what's going on, I'm just going to step into it. So I think learning how it all worked out has helped me a whole lot, and getting to see it firsthand, getting led. I mean, a lot of this is teaching leadership stuff, getting led, and then now being able to step into a leadership position to lead others. So it's all a mentorship thing, a leadership thing, but it's really awesome to see, and to see the progress and stuff. I know the first night that I kind of took over speaking more. I was pretty nervous. I felt like I'm redheaded, and so when I get flushed, my face gets flushed. I can't really hide it. I just am red. So I could feel my face getting really red, and my little brother's in there, so he usually always gives me a hard time. He's like, "You seem pretty nervous," but he even made the comment a couple weeks after that. He's like, "You really don't seem that nervous now," and so especially coming from him, that made me feel pretty good. But I feel like I came a long ways, and I've stepped into more leadership positions at work. We went to that Maxwell conference where I was able to give a presentation there and all that stuff. People encouraged me along the way. I believe that everything works out. God works everything out in the correct time. It was all kind of leading to this, and I'm much more comfortable doing it. But the main takeaway here is if you feel like God's calling you to do something, it's not always a smack in the face like, here, you need to do this exactly, because a lot of times that's not how it worked out for me, at least. So a lot of times it's just be willing, try to do the best that you can. And if you feel like you're led to do something, just do it, and God will lead you along the way. Just pray. I mean, I don't feel like nobody ever really knows what they're doing when they start doing something. So you got to just start somewhere.
We talked about this a few weeks ago, that it's not about being able, it's about being available.
Yep.
And that's really what it is. So, I told you the success that we've seen around Oklahoma. We've had a pretty good year with our businesses. Me and Tyler both run an ag dealership with Lawn and Garden, and it's been a crazy last couple of years with weather and politics and all kinds of stuff. But God's been faithful, and I've seen, as we've started to apply a lot of these principles in our business, not just at church, that God blesses that, and it also helps the people around us. And I wanted Tyler to share another story. I wanted to share what you told me about this last week. So I'll lead into it with the intro. I had a pastor tell me a while back, and I'd share this with Tyler, that of all things, it was a John Maxwell event, that he had said that, don't fail to ask people if they'd like to know about Jesus. And he said that a lot of times we get focused in our program, like what's on the schedule, what's the agenda. And we don't realize that, hey, I need to just ask this simple question. And that even applies at work and in business. Sometimes people are hurting and they just need to know that there's hope. And I like the John Maxwell shirts. I don't know if you saw that at the meeting. There was one that said, "Your local hope dealer." That was really cool. And
That's
so
pretty funny.
he said, just ask people. And so I was challenged to do that. And then I saw him actually implement that at his meeting, and hundreds of people went down to be saved. And so I started doing that. And I've had boys that have stepped up and said, "I would like to know more about Jesus. I'd like to get saved." And then Tyler shared a story with me from yesterday?
Yeah, we got to see it a couple weeks ago, Travis. So he gets to travel around and show different outposts that are starting up, kind of, and even some that have been going for a while. Lets them he does a fun night and plays games with them, and takes a lot of, takes an inflatable axe throwing thing, just a lot of cool stuff that you can do for the boys to enjoy. And so he did that same type of class for our outpost a few weeks ago. And there's a boy that'd been coming to church and to our boys ministry for a long time now. And Travis was given the devotion, and then he asked at the end, and that boy came up and prayed to get saved. And so that was a really big win. It's really rewarding when you've been around these boys for a while. So I was kind of thinking of the same thing. But what was funny about, well, maybe not funny, but what was really interesting about that time was that was the day that you got hacked, right? All the stuff was just going crazy. And so I remember you saying it was a very bad day for you, but all that stuff, you just got to thinking, hey, maybe I'm under attack for a reason, and maybe I should just go ahead and ask. So you did. I wasn't having the best day yesterday, but things were a little bit crazy for me. But going to church, we went outside and played some games, kind of to start with. Then we came back inside and did our devotion. It was talking about Jesus is coming back. And so we talked about that, talked about being faithful, using the gifts and talents and abilities that God's blessed you with, the life that he's blessed you with, to make the most of it. And we've been talking about prayer and discipleship and sharing the word of God with other people. And so it all kind of tied into this about Jesus coming back, and to use what he's given you to spread his word to other people. And so I got to thinking, I'm just going to ask. And so I asked if anybody would like to come up and pray to get saved. And there was actually 4 boys that raised their hand and came up and prayed. And that was really cool, because I think we had like 16 or 17 boys in the class. So that's a pretty awesome percentage right
Yeah, it
there for
is.
sure. But it was really cool. Another thing that was really cool about it is we're talk a lot about team building and being a team in that class. And so as those guys came up to pray, I had all the other boys kind of surround them and pray too. And so that was really cool that they all
The brotherhood.
got to take part in that together. So that was super rewarding, super cool to get to be a part of.
Guys, it has been an awesome year. And, one thing that I've learned too is to be positive, have a positive outlook, and look at the opportunities, not the obstacles. And so we want to encourage you that the best is yet to come.
Yeah.
More success, greater success. And we're going to be praying for you guys. We're going to be, hopefully, you're praying for us.
Yeah. And I'd say the big point with this, the whole thing here is we kind of took a little bit of a leap to do this. We've had a whole lot of fun along the way. So if you feel like there's something that you would like to do, just try it. Yeah, you really don't have anything to lose. Everything gets blown out of proportion a lot of times. I felt like, if I get to do a podcast and I say something stupid, it's going to be pretty embarrassing, but so what?
You know what? Tyler didn't even know I wrote this down for closing, but if you want to be successful, this is what I've learned. 2025 recap. Find something that you're passionate about, something that you can you just can't hardly contain it. You're so excited. You're passionate about it. Maybe you don't have something. Maybe it's time to ask God to give me something to be passionate about. But John Maxwell said this as we were wrapping up our meeting. He said, look, there's going to be about 98% of the people in this room are going to look over at the other 2% and be like, I wish I could be lucky and successful like those people a year from now. And you know what? He said, you've been waiting for the secret sauce. He said, so I just got to tell you, there is no secret sauce. The secret sauce is go out and do. Take what you've learned and apply it. That's how you be successful. So guys, as we're rolling into this holiday season, from our family to yours, I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving.
And a very Merry Christmas.
Come on now, let's talk about real success.
You can climb that ladder,
Reach the top,
count your wins,
but the game don't stop.
'cause joy ain't found in a paycheck's gas. It's Jesus Christ.
That's real success.